Innovation is a cornerstone at Thermo Fisher. We launch products every year. This year is no different. We have two specific small molecule additions of our new products, and I encourage you to come to our hospitality suite and booth this evening to learn more. We have a new Orbitrap Excidian mass spectrometer, which is our hybrid system based off of our successful Orbitrap Excidian Pro last year. And we have a new Orbitrap Tribred Apex small molecule edition, which is a new system based off of the IQX. So it's been a few years since we've upgraded, and it's an amazing new Tribred instrument. So please come and learn more about that. Every year, our team comes to ASMS to teach you about our new products, but especially learn from all of you. Learn about what you've been doing, but also learn about your pain points, how we can address what you need. And this morning, we put together a program that is based on a lot of conversations that we've had with customers over the last, I would say, year and a half, about some of the pain points around not just high-res untargeted workflows, but you are slowly dipping your toe into more targeted workflows. You need to have more end-to-end solutions. You're asking us to help you get more done, be more efficient, and we've listened. So this morning we have 3 talks for you. Hopefully that will help you learn all about our targeted workflows. And I'm going to invite up our first speaker, Will Thompson. Will's from the company Move Analytical, and he's going to tell you about one of the solutions that we've learned about that hopefully addresses some of the pain points you've been telling us about.
Yeah, I feel like I was just here with you all about just a few hours ago. So thanks for being here. If I'm a little scratchy, that is from yelling over all the fun we had last night. So yeah, this morning, here excited to do we announced a new product release yesterday, MoveKit BA. And we're here this morning to share with you, along with one of our collaborators, Whitney Stutz, the work that we've been doing to try to make metabolomics easier. A little bit about our company. We're barely a year old. We provide software, what we call workflow-defined software solutions for metabolomics. And so these workflows are built by a small team in North Carolina. We are small but mighty, as we like to say. We really enjoy collaborating with our customers and excited to bring new solutions to you. I want to kick off this morning with a little bit of a story. So all of us realize through metabolomics that doing work that is quality and we can get out in the world and make a difference is no accident. My experience with metabolomics started at Duke School of Medicine, and I was very fortunate to have a lot of great resources. 2 of the most important things were amazing collaborators. So Rima Kadura-Dukes on the left-hand side, she ran the Alzheimer's Disease Metabolomics Consortium. Amazing set of impactful samples and work that needed to be done. None of it could have been done without great lab members. And so Lisa St. John Williams, who came to us from like 30 years at GlaxoSmithKline, was really responsible for putting together some of the amazing workflows that we used at Duke to drive home analysis of over 30,000 samples in lots of different disease states. Unfortunately and fortunately, a lot of these workflows, very time-consuming, tedious, took a lot of expertise. So while Lisa was responsible for putting together all of these workflows, it should not require a Lisa in order to get these great results. So our company is really focused on enabling these kinds of robust workflows, but lowering the demand of time and likelihood of mistakes as they translate between laboratories. If you've done bile acids before, you might know that this was a really exciting sort of set of work. So we owe a lot of credit actually to Susie and Bashar for kind of re-highlighting this, but I want to go back to this paper we published with the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative and ADMC. The most cited paper out of that consortium showed that ratio of primary to secondary bile acids was indicative of cognitive decline. This particular work has been cited like 800 times. It's almost 10 years old now, and really highlights the what I knew is the kind of the beginning of a additional work that's being done in bile acids. Of course, this work has now exploded. The work being done in bile acids and the biochemistry around bile acids, thanks to Peter Dorstein and other groups, has really expanded. And so now we have a much more difficult analytical challenge than we had here. So some of those analytical challenges that you might know if you've looked at these kinds of workflows. On the left is a chromatogram from a triple quad assay for LCA. And so a lot of these bile acids do not fragment well. And so one of the exciting things now is with high resolution mass spectrometer and the addition of stellar ionization. So there's a poster today from Cynthia Grimm on sort of using stellar to improve fragmentation and getting better sensitivity for these molecules. New workflows can really save a lot of time in sort of curating this data or having good workflows, good quantitative measurements. The second is isomeric separation. So one of the biggest problems in targeted metabolomics is that lots of co-eluting or closely eluting isomers. Nearly all of the targeted workflows can get you close in retention time, but then when there are pairs that are either resolved but close together or maybe even not completely resolved, the workflows will pick the most abundant isomer nearly every time when they're doing those work. So if you've done that, a lot of people nodding, right? Those take a lot of time. So our company is really focused, and what we'll show today is some work around making sure that you don't have to do that work, that those decisions are made properly in the software every time. And then finally, we have this sort of FOMO, fear of missing out, on all of the expanding list of workflows. So what we are working on heavily with Susie's team is hybrid workflows, so that when you find new things in the high resolution data, those can then be added back to the targeted workflows, targeted panels. If we take a step back and look more generally at what our company is focused on, it's larger than bile acids. So if you have worked in the metabolomics field, many of these pain points might exist for you. So maybe you have a very difficult sample preparation, analytical overhead on calibration and QC. The LCMS, just making the sequences to go to the mass spec is sometimes painful. System suitability is often a judgment call. Is my instrument ready or not? So you might have, depending on the person in the lab or how much coffee you've had this morning, you may decide to run or not, right? So it's really important that we be consistent with these kinds of decisions. Data quality, peak-end reintegration, all of these pain points are areas that we have focused in, and we focus continually with collaborations in our products to kind of make the workflows easier. How do we do that? We have basically these, what I would call 6 pillars to scalable metabolomics. And so we've found that, between combining all of these areas, we can see reductions in sort of time to result by as much as 10-fold. I would say that sometimes metabolomics feels like death to 1,000 cuts, right? Because you really have a lot of areas which save you or which cost you a ton of time, depending on the assay. It may be different between labs. Each of these areas in our lab is our company take a specific dedicated effort. So we have dedicated boutique consumables, experimental design workflows that allow you really to just drag and drop a set of samples into a list, and it generates the run sequences for you. The calibration systems we've generated are much simpler to use, simpler to interpret and operate. System suitability dashboards, peak assignment recorrection, and then really kind of visually intuitive quality assessments. And so all of these areas are areas which we have posters. We have 2 posters tomorrow on each of these kind of specific areas. I ask you to kind of come by and take a look and chat with us, ask your questions. But this is really what makes our platforms different from a lot of those in the field. As I mentioned, we're launching a new kit this week. So this is MoveKit BA. The details, there are a lot of little details buried. All of it is on our website. This kit is 32 quantitative bile acids, so 32 stable isotope labeled internal standards, plus 123 at this moment additional targets that are conjugated bile acids, free fatty acids, other molecules. That 123 are indexed and then semi-quantitative, so we continue to grow that list as the list of interesting compounds and molecules that we see in samples and you see in your samples grows. It's 10 minutes to inject, very good sensitivity down to 10 nanomolar quantitative, about 2 nanomolar typically LOD. It's available on every high-res mass spec instrument and Stellar and soon to be triple quad that Thermo makes. So this panel has, thanks to a lot of hard work from the Thermo team, the approach has been validated on everything from the OE120 to the Apex to the, so the quantitative results are nice and are the same between lots of those instruments with, as you would expect, additional kind of sensitivity and MSMS capabilities on some of the newer instruments. So this, whether or not I'm not trying to encourage you not to buy a new instrument, but if you have an instrument that an OE120 or even an Explorus or an older Q Exactive, this platform works on those instruments. Yeah, so a little bit now into the data. So we've worked internally first to validate the approach. So we do your typical like multi-batch, multi-day, multi-matrix kind of validation. That's on the left with the PCA plot just showing the differences, multiple batches of different types of samples. So nice consistent data. And then we benchmark against other workflows out there. So the SRM 1950 data is on the right. So our data is in blue, and then the sort of most widely published large targeted panel from the Wishart lab is in green, and then a competitor platform, triple quad, is in red. What we're seeing is that we get the same results for this matrix. When others are reporting the values, we get the same numbers, but then we're adding up to 50% additional compounds that are in targeted quantitation for this particular matrix. Serum is not the most complex matrix, and so it's exciting to look at other matrices as well. When we look at between instruments of similar types, so on the left you see Explorus 240 versus Exedion Pro for one of the QC values. This is quantitative results from two different labs running two different instruments. And then on the right, when you compare those results between the high resolution and the targeted platforms on Stellar, also very nice results between the platforms. So we shipped these samples to Bashar and Susie first, or the kits, and they adopted the workflows, and we compared between their lab and our lab. Several months, this was, about 5 months ago, 6 months ago. This was basically green light. Yeah, we think we really have a nice product, and so we're gonna move forward. Over the past few months, what we've then done is work with 6 different labs with 8 different instruments, and get these kits out to those labs and work with them to do 2 things. Really demonstrate and understand the quantitative and qualitative reproducibility, and then also get feedback from the customers. So we're a brand new company. We're really working rapidly to develop new products, and we want to hear how we can make the products better. So one of the really exciting things is to hear from them kind of how the workflows work. So we shipped samples, and then we had people make their own study pools, and then the next few slides I'm just going to show you a little more data. This is also on my poster tomorrow. This is all of the data across these 32 bile acids for the QCs between all of the labs. So this is 6 labs, 8 different instruments. 100% is the sort of defined accuracy that we would like to see, right? So then the large lines are 30%. So we're really happy. This is, if you're participated in any of these kind of large metabolomics ring trials, this is very good results for inter-laboratory comparisons for quantitative accuracy across labs. This is the goal. The goal for us is to be able to provide solutions which people can do. I will say every one of the data sets in here, except for the one that I generated, was the person's first time running the kit. So it's not like there's a big training threshold to come up to speed on how to run this. As we look across the different matrices, the top plot is the fecal sample, which in this case was a single donor fecal sample. Very simple, actually, ended up being not a very complex sample. I think some of the data you're going to see from Whitney is much more complex. So that was super exciting to see the error bars between all of the different matrices being very small. I want to make a couple of other points here. You may notice if you look in the details on the urine that 8 out of the top 10 quantitative molecules, so a lot of the biomass, like 80% of the biomass, is sulfated. Most approaches don't actually currently look at sulfated bile acids, so we're missing if you're looking at the bile acid pool, you're missing a lot of the story if you're not looking at the sulfated bile acids. For the serum, even in the bottom, about 30% of the bile acid pool quantitatively seems to be from sulfated material. So we've done a lot of work to make the method quantitative and targeted toward those molecules, modifying the chromatography method, making sure the quantitative accuracy is there for those molecules. Very important and really exciting biology. I think will be discovered by our colleagues looking in this area. If we look now at kind of these traditional workflows, one of the things I mentioned in one of the early slides is that quality control in real time is super important to us, and it's a thing that a lot of people, if you're looking at the quality of your metabolomics data, it may be the next day or 2 days later before you realize something went wrong and you have to kind of redo an experiment. In our app that runs on the instrument, we surface that approach first. Right in the beginning of the workflow, as the data is coming off the instrument, we have this dashboard. So I know this is a complicated slide. The top is a picture of our app where kind of everything looks good. So we do intensity checks, we do relative retention time checks, and 2 kind of critical pair isomer checks to make sure that everything is running well. The next slide, the next little panel with the red is an example of a situation where in real time, the results showed some failure of one of the sulfated isomers. This is kind of like the canary in the coal mine, if you will, for this assay. The sulfated species are the most difficult to separate. They're also the most likely to kind of bind to a column that's old. In this situation, there was a column that had been done for a lot of lipid analysis prior. We didn't mandate they use a new column. So this column was not kind of up to speed. We surface that result first, right? And so that you know right away while the data is being collected that if that molecule is important, you need to address your concerns. So we're trying to move from forensic analysis to sort of operation, we call it operational QC, where it's in real time. And I've just got 2 more slides. So this is the slide I probably am most excited about across this. We've done a lot of work to make the critical isomer pairs assignments correct. And so in this situation on the left, is actually, I'm a chromatographer, so apologies if you didn't want to look at a bunch of chromatograms this morning, but these are all chromatograms for these critical pairs. As you can see, the isomers on the top are really nicely separated. The ones on the bottom are harder. Those are the sulfated molecules. On the right, you see the assignments. So the assignments of those molecules on the far right, we are basically assigning 100% correct. On the far right, you'll see a little error where we made a mistake, but those are the ones on the previous slide I showed you that failed the data check, so you know that ahead of time. Okay, none of this would be possible without a lot of awesome collaborators, so this is developed and validated with this amazing group of people. We would like to see a lot more names upon the work that we're doing next year, so if you invite you to contact these folks to get their opinion on what we're working on and also contact us. And then while Whitney is coming up, this is the list of slides. I want everybody to get your phone out. We're giving away a kit this morning. So if you want to do any work with us or take a look at this, just scan this QR code as I'm leaving the stage and enter your information, and we will give away a kit to a lab in the room that wants to take a look at this workflow. So with that, thank you so much, Susie. I appreciate your time.
So we have time for one question. If anybody has a question, I invite you up to the microphones at the front of the room.
Hi. The question is about if the kit is compatible with, you said, other high-risk med spec. What about it's not a thermal instrument? And what does the app do? Does it also take the other .dat file or what other formats?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you might have noticed that the underlying workflows, kind of a lot of the screenshots are in Skyline. So we have built essentially the platform on a vendor neutral platform that will pick up the data from any vendor. Currently, Susie and their team have been amazing, and we're mostly collaborating with Thermo. We have discussed with other vendors. We would be happy to talk with you about that. But there's nothing fundamental about our workflow that's going to restrict us to being just on one instrument or one instrument type even. Yeah.
Let's thank our speaker one more time.